Recording of the roll, please.
All present.
Thank you. Item C, approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Corcoran, seconded by Commissioner Mildren to approve the consent agenda as presented. Further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Mildren?
Yes.
Semo?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Birchall?
Yes. Item D, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Corcoran, seconded by Commissioner Mildren to approve the agenda as presented. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, receive and place on file the statement of revenue and expenditures and the monthly cash report.
Thank you. Tonight I'm reporting on the financials for the month ending August 31st. We are 2 months into our fiscal year budget, and we should be roughly right around 17% of expenditures and revenues through that period. Looking at the general fund on the first 2 pages, we're right on target with our revenues and expenditures a little over at 19%, and that is as a result of the 2016 local street paving project. Again, we are using fund balance for that project. The expenditures are on the local street side, and the usage of fund balance, the transfer to local streets, is a general fund expenditure. And that's the reason for the negative period fund balance at the end of August as well, is that project through August for this fiscal year was about 95,000 overall. So overall, taking that into consideration, the usage of fund balance, the general fund period fund balance is doing okay. The major street and the local street on the next 2 pages, again, you'll notice that revenues for the major and local streets are broken out by line item, so you're able to see the Act 51 routine maintenance items broken out, as well as any other revenues for those funds. Both the period fund balance for both of those funds are healthy at the end of August. And the rest of our funds are included after, and there's nothing major to report actually on any of those smaller funds. All the period fund balances are fine. Water and sewer fund both okay at the end of August, so 2 months into our fiscal year, so nothing major to report for right now. If there's any other questions on the revenue expenditure report, I can answer this time. If not, the cash balances report for August was provided as well, and all cash balances are healthy at the end of August. If you have any questions, I can go over those now.
I'll make a motion, we receive and place on file the statement of revenue and expenditures and the monthly cash report.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Corcoran to receive and place on file the statement of revenue and expenditures and the monthly cash report. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item F, approval of the monthly check register report.
And the monthly check register report for August is included on this packet as well. And if there's any questions on any of those checks, we'll go over those now.
I'll make a motion, we approve the monthly check register report.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Mildren to approve the monthly check register report. Further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mildren?
Yes.
Semo?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Birchall?
Yes. You're welcome. Item G, citizens wishing to address the commission on items on the agenda, a 3-minute limit. We ask you, when your name is called, to come to the podium. Make sure the microphone is aimed to your mouth, and please state your name and address.
My name is Howard Sandy, and I'm here on behalf of the Downtown Police.
Recently, the Downtown Red Place applied for Michigan Council on Arts and Culture 50/50 grant for capital improvements to repair and replace the leaking roof on the building. Unfortunately for us, the grant was not given, was denied. The fact is that the roof urgently needs to be replaced. For the past 2 winters, we've had some significant leaking, which has been very disruptive. What we want to do is to avoid disrupting any tenant space this winter as well as in the future. And we want to avoid potential further damage to the building. So far, it's only been cosmetic, but if it keeps on building, it will be more structural besides. The contractor's bid for this was some $53,000. And in preparation for that, the 50/50 match, we have put together and put aside $22,000 that we don't have. Unfortunately, what we're asking is that the city would provide the $31,000 that is needed to complete the project, and which is needed by November of 2016. In response to that, the leaseholders, us, would repay the city over a period of 3 years at an amount of $862 a month. Are there any questions about that?
Thank you for the information.
Thank you.
And when the agenda item comes up, there may be questions, but any other citizens wishing to address the commission on items on the agenda? It's Mr. Okay, come on up.
Show in 12 East Oak Street. I'm asking tonight when you're considering our second driveway, and you remember that according to our codes that we are well within our rights. Also that we've had 2 fires within the last couple of weeks. Number one, we've seen how important it is to keep the streets clear and free of any extra traffic or anything like that. Also to remember that by allowing us our second driveway, we'll be keeping at least 3 extra cars off. If we have teen children, we have children who drive, we're constantly coming. It'll well be used. Also to consider that since we've lost an extra house, there's plenty of parking down at the other end of the block. Also, so that it doesn't keep coming up again, because we have so much more work that needs to be done as far as painting, scaffolding has to go in, there's roofing projects that need to go on. It's going to take more than just temporary parking. This will continue well into next summer, and rather than take up more time here and yours as well. I'm really hoping you'll just approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens?
Sam Davey, 1215 East Market Street, and I've got questions on the city deer hunt. Is it a recreational hunt or a managed deer herd hunt? It's a managed deer herd hunt. So if it's a managed deer herd, when is it managed? The first year to hunt around 60 deer, I think, were taken. Last year, 5 deer were taken. So when is the deer herd managed? 10 taken, 5 taken, or is it the goal of the city to eliminate all deer in the city of Ironwood? At some point, the deer hunt has to stop or be suspended as the deer herd is managed. If it's going to continue every year, then we need to change the hunt to a recreational hunt. Because the whole point of this is to manage the deer herd. At some point, the deer herd has to be managed. At that point, the deer hunt has to stop or be suspended. I just don't understand how you keep going. But the DNR says, from what I heard, you need 20 permits for this season. Okay, what is this based on? Did they do a study? Did the DNR here to study our deer herd? Can we afford to lose 20 deer? How many deer are left in the city of Ironwood? Or did they pull this number out of the air? Are there any facts to back this number up? And again, when is the deer herd managed? This was supposed to be a hunt started just to manage the deer herd. Well, at what point is it managed when the hunt has to be stopped or suspended? There's hardly any deer left in the UP as it is now. You just can't keep dwindling this herd down to nothing. The other point is the Miners Memorial Heritage Park. I feel that having hunt in the park is having a great effect on the people that use the park in the fall during nice fall colors to get out and walk in the park. They do not feel safe, they feel uneasy with having hunters in the trees, and I, for one, use the park in the fall. I bring my dogs along to run loose because it's the only place we can. And I will not do it in the fall just for the fact that there may be, animals have been shot, not here, I'm not saying it could happen, but accidents have happened where hunters have mistaken dogs for coyotes or even deer. Oh, I have no idea, but it has happened, and I, for one, go in the park in the fall with my dogs for that reason. I'll walk in the park, but the hunters don't bother me, but I'm not going to bring my dogs in there because I don't feel safe with them running around. And if you are going to have a hunt in the park, I feel you should bring this to Parks and Rec and let them see if they can come up with an idea to make this work for everybody. You know, if you're going to have it in the park, which I feel it should be in the park, there's enough other areas in the city to do it. So my main goal is, when is the herd managed? And that, you know, you can't keep having this hunt every year. It's like, I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens wishing to address the commission on items on the agenda? No more. Moving to citizens with the commission not on the agenda. Mr. Grabovich?
Paul Grabovich, 1221 East Leonard. And at the last meeting, you accepted a bid from Superior, Wisconsin for the welcome to Ironwood sign down in the flats. There was two local companies that bid on this project. Greystone Studio, which is very, very similar to what's going to be put down here, and that company is from Ironwood. Another company, Icola Graphics, out of Wakefield, Michigan. That sign was going to be similar to what was down there. You staff these local businesses in the back. I mean, I thought this is shop local, shop local, shop local, and you give this project to somebody from the pier? It's disgusting that you did that. As commissioners, I have very little respect for you. But after the way you staff these local businesses in the back, that respect is out that window. There's none left. None, zero, for staffing the local businesses in the back the way you have did. You should be sending that order, tell these people to stay home from the pier and give it to one of these local companies. Shop local, shop local. And I'll tell you, Mayor Burchell, if I had people coming in, friends, and I was a businessman, and families, and they needed a place to stay, they would not stay at your motel. I tell you, they would sleep on the floor of my house if I was a businessman. Because of what you did to these two local businesses, and you say shop local, you're not even supporting local business. We need to support our local businesses, and you stab these people in the back. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on. Any other citizens wishing to address the commission on items not on the agenda? Okay. Moving on to presentations. Recognition of life-saving efforts, Superior Riders Group, and many others.
Do you want to?
Sure. I'm not sure of the date, but
August 17th.
On August 17th, let's see, is Mr. Wagmeyer is here? There you are. Come on up, Mr. Wagmeyer, if you can. Would you like to say a few words, or do you want me to summarize? Just, okay, go.
I was the one who probably shouldn't have talked because I was kind of out of commission at that point in time. I was dangling over the edge of life, and due to the wonderful efforts of Don Guglielmo and Davies, also Karen Hageley, they were instrumental in keeping me on the right side of the river Styx until such time as one of the people from the ambulance service got into the hospital and such. So I cannot thank you enough. I know you would do this for anybody, but for me and my family, this is just an astounding thing, a wonderful thing. So very much appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Yeah, and on behalf of the city of Ironwood, we would like to note the wonderful job that Beacon Ambulance and the staff did, and also the Ironwood Public Safety Department in addressing these. And we would especially like to recognize the three individuals. Ann Davey, could you please stand? And then we'll ask you to come forward. And Don Guglielmato. And I don't think Karen Hageman is here today, correct? No. And we are going to present you with a certificate of life-saving recognition. It was your quick thinking and willingness to begin CPR that saved Mr. Ken Wagemeyer's life. And the Ironwood City Commission would like to thank you and recognize your willingness to step forward and help a fellow resident in need. And they're so greatly appreciated, and it's just another example of what a wonderful community we have. And the Superior Riders.
If I might add something to this also. We have a bike riding group that has been building every year for 4 or 5 years. So all of us ride bikes together, and we are all good friends, and then we go to the different businesses in Hurley, Ironwood, Bessemer, and beyond, and enjoy each other's company. So we really, really like each other. And on that bike ride on that Wednesday, Ken Wagemeyer, a good friend of all of ours, had the most, just the unthinkable thing happening of a heart attack. And because of Ann Davey, a strong woman, I might add, and Don Guglielmato, a strong man, and Karen, and the rest of the Superior bike riders, some who were on the side of the road praying, some who were calling to tell Ken's lovely wife, Naomi, what was going on. This group and these strong people helped with our police department and with our ambulance service in saving one of our friends' lives. So it is just such an honor to have you two with us, and the people that aren't here, the 60 other Superior bike riders that did what they could, and we all know what prayer means, and we all know what just great. So this is one wonderful event for all of us, and thank you, Mayor Virgil, and congratulations.
We'd love to have a photo with you two, and then Mr. Wagemeyer, I don't know if you could come up too?
Yeah, I think Beacon and Public Safety have representation. Definitely a joint effort.
Pretty cool. Let's keep it simple.
You can sneak in between him. Need the wide angle.
Otherwise, we won't get everyone.
All right.
Next, we have a presentation by Mr. John Rudberg, updating on the fundraising for the Hiawatha renovation and painting.
Mayor Virgil and fellow commissioners, thank you very much for the opportunity to update
update you on the Hiawatha renovation project that we have going on. Before I get started, I'd like to introduce two people that are very instrumental in helping me with this project. Peter Sturgill, who's here with us, and Michael Meyer, who is also very helpful and our director of our Ironwood Chamber of Commerce. Let me just go back and give you a little history, first of all. It's been 52 years that Hiawatha has been sitting on the hill up there. Many of us remember when it arrived and the community spirit and event that those days leading up to and the erection of the Hiawatha statue was. It's an important landmark for the area residents and for tourists who visit the area. The need that we have today is that other than painting, very little structural maintenance has been done to Hiawatha in those 52 years. Today we have a lot of bird feces on the upper part of the statue. We have surface cracks in the fiberglass. We've lost one of the ornamental pieces from the peace pipe that fell off last year. We have that piece and we hope they'll be able to replace it or reattach it. And the paint is badly faded. We need to do much more than just painting of this. A complete rehab is necessary for us to maintain this valuable asset. Because this is more than just a painting project, we had to find a company who specializes in fiberglass work. And we've been fortunate enough to find a company in Sparta, Wisconsin called FAS Corporation. They've been in business for since the mid-1970s, building and erecting fiberglass statues, animal structures, trademarks, etc. A couple of the pieces of work that you may recognize or have seen in the area, the 145-foot muskie down in Hayward. Hayward, Wisconsin is one of the structures that this company has done. What they plan to do in the refurbishing of Hiawatha is first they're going to have to power wash the entire statue to remove any loose paint, bird feces, etc. Then they'll take and make sure that any loose cracks are fixed or removed. Those will be fixed with a fiberglass material or a bondo. And then the surface will be recoated with several coats of paint and gel coat so that the structure, when completed, will be close to new as possible. Now, the cost for this project is estimated at $20,000. And we hope to be able to complete this next summer, the summer of 2017. To date, with the help of the Ironwood Chamber of Commerce, we've been able to raise $13,000 towards this project. But for us to reach our goal of $20,000, we feel that we need the City of Ironwood's help. What we're asking is that next month, when the Commission starts moving into its budget reviews for fiscal year 2017, 2018, that you seriously look at trying to find $5,000 towards this project that we can allocate towards the renovation of Hiawatha. And if you can do that during your budget reviews, we would thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have at this time.
John, do you have any opinion as to the structural integrity of the entire statue?
That really won't be able to be determined until the contractor actually gets up there and starts working on the fiberglass and removing it. As I mentioned, one of the ornamental pieces of the piece pipe fell off last winter during the wind. So we think it's structurally sound, but we won't be for sure until they actually start working on that fiberglass. Any other questions?
Just a review, you said $20,000 to get Hiawatha done and projected for next summer?
Yes, that's the estimate on the project.
Just out of curiosity, what kind of fundraising have you guys done? I know when we had our art park, we did the crowdfunding, and it was amazing how people had stepped up for that. Have you guys tried like the crowdfunding at all?
Yeah, we have. We do have a GoFundMe page. that's still active, that has raised quite a bit of money.
Okay.
We've also contacted many of the downtown and area merchants, the area banks. So we're aggressively working at it, but it seems like this last little bit that we need to reach our goal is becoming a little bit more of a struggle.
Okay, thank you.
That's why we feel we really need the city's help in this.
And my question would be, because your group is like so many other groups, you've taken this entire project on, and you've been raising the funds. Just bringing it to the City of Ironwood Commission and you know, we're indebted to you for doing this. Maybe we could bring more, get this out to the public even more awareness through our city commission.
That always is very helpful.
Are there any funding sources, Scott, that this would qualify where the 13,000 or certain funds could be used as matching funds and to get a little bit of state dollars to help with this type of a project?
There aren't a lot. I think we had looked into one a while back, and it may be worth pursuing here as one more avenue is a crowdfunding through the state. Now again, it's applied to downtown improvements, and I think we did reach out to ask them, and I think this might be eligible for that. We'd have to confirm that, where they'll do a 50-50 match. So if you have 13,000, they would match that up to that amount. We can approach that agency, I think it's through MISTA, or excuse me, MEDC, and see if this would be applicable. I think we had reached out to them a while back, and it sounded like it might, but we'd have to package something together, work with the group here, and see if we could. Again, it'd be kind of similar to what you're doing already, but through this mechanism, there could potentially be some matching dollars. I can't guarantee it, but it'd be worth looking into.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot, John.
Thank
for
you.
your efforts. I'd like to say that I think this is an important project to the city, and as the city's governing body, we should take a hard look at helping this project out.
Well, Hiawatha is definitely a tourist attraction and kind of a tag for Ironwood. So.
Yeah, it's an iconic symbol for the city of Ironwood. Yep, definitely is. And we typically go into a budget review in the winter versus the fall, just so be aware of that. So if you don't hear, it may be early winter when we actually discuss it, all right? Okay, sure. But we will definitely keep it on our radar and keep in contact with you. But I'd like to explore the MEDC funding possibilities.
We'll look into that in more detail, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to old business, discuss and consider resolution number 016-020 governing the 2016 Comprehensive Deer Management Program.
Thank you. Just a little background. Again, we're going into probably the 10th year of the deer management program. It is a deer management hunt to help maintain the herd in town. And again, you probably have seen the numbers over the years. It does fluctuate depending on the deer herd that's out there. And as we know, generally the deer population is down. We did discuss this with the DNR folks, wildlife biologists that we've been working with over the years on the program. And you'll see a letter in front of you. I don't know if you had a chance to read that or not. This is really, from their perspective, ultimately it's up to the city commission what you'd like to do. From their perspective with the deer management program is you're managing the herd in town. There aren't a lot of predators for the herd, so the herd is usually a little larger than it is, on our external boundaries. And again, from a predator standpoint, you want to keep that food source, managed so that you don't have predators coming in. And I think they've done a very good job of accomplishing that. Now, are you ever done with the management hunt? Again, with the DNR perspective, just thinking about it, you're never really done managing. You don't want to eliminate the herd, you never will. That's not the goal. It's to manage the numbers. And you'll see through the numbers of deer that have been taken over the years, it's fluctuated with the deer herd. As there's more deer, you see a few more deer taken. As there's less deer around, I think last year they took 5. But they're still managing the size of the herd in town. So I think that's the perspective of the DNR and why they're encouraging the City of Ironwood to continue with the management hunt, is just to continue that management philosophy and perspective going forward. Because if you quit managing for a few years, and if you can picture in town with the deer population that we do have, the numbers come back very rapidly. And that is probably something that we'd potentially be a few years down the road back to where we were when we started the project. And we do have a number of hunters that have been working with the city over the last 10 years. They've done a very good job helping out with that effort. We had looked into everything. Other cities had hired sharpshooters and, very expensive processes to manage their herd. And our local hunters really stepped up and have done a great job in helping the city manage the herd.
Scott? Yeah, just a couple of things. So the hunt has gone on for 10 years.
Right.
And there are 5 zones where people hunt. From by the wastewater to south of Norrie to the Miners Park to
There's the map.
yes, to the what is it? What would you call the 5th one?
Overlay Sausage.
Okay, so there are 5 zones that people hunt on. And we've received a letter from the DNR hoping that we continue to support the hunt. We've received the minutes from the Parks and Rec saying that they wish the hunt to cease in the Miners Park.
Correct.
Okay, and in the information from last year, deer were harvested, 1 north of the railroad grade, 1 by the sewer plant, 2 on private property of owners 10 acres or more, and 1 in the caves. Now, is the 1 deer harvested in the caves last year, is that the Miners Park or is that a different part of the caves?
That would be, I'm sure it would be the Miners Park area.
And the private was next to the miners.
Okay, and the private was next to the Miners, okay. So just because I tabled this last time, because I didn't have all of this information or wanted to look at it a little bit. So we could keep the hunt, exempt the Miners Park, but keep the other 4 areas open, and that would satisfy both the hunters and the people that wish the Miners Park not to have deer hunting, but not in perpetuity. But my motion, I'll turn this into a motion, would be for this 1 year, because the numbers are low. I have walked through the Miners Park about a dozen times this year. I talked to 2 people that walk it every day, and they said that they've seen a doe and a fawn in there. I haven't seen a deer in there this year. Last year I saw 2 spike horns, I saw about 8 does. So the numbers have changed again.
Sure.
So I would make that into a motion that we keep the deer hunt going, but we suspend the Miners Park for 1 year and area just for this year, and keep 1, 2, 3, and 5 open to hunting.
I'll second that.
Just a moment. Motion by Commissioner Mildren, seconded by Commissioner Semo, to allow the deer hunt for the year, to keep the deer hunt open for 1 year, but suspend hunting in Zone 4, the Miners Park area, but keep Zones 1, 2, 3, and 5 open. Further discussion?
One of the issues with the deer hunt is the disposal, and there's been a deer pit, and it hasn't been working very well, so I think we need to figure out a better choice than how we're doing it. I don't think we need to decide that now, but
Sure.
that's something that could be discussed moving forward. Deer parts end up scattered all over the Miners Park, literally, so we have to figure something out better than that.
Well, I was just going to note that I do believe that we should keep the deer hunt going. We've had it going successful for last 10 years. I think we're kind of more in the maintenance mode right now when you take a look at what last year's harvest was 5 years, so it's almost like regulating itself. So at this point, I'd be in favor of keeping it, especially since the DNR recommends that we should maintain the deer hunt as well.
I do have a question. I like the motion the way it is, but the DNR supports continuing it. If we're to be suspended, would there be some difficulty in resuming it? What is the big deal here that we can't just say we'll take a year off?
And I guess that would, I guess we'd have to see what would happen. I guess it's more of the momentum. You do have the hunters on board. It's kind of, you have the same group. Now, whether you lose momentum, lose some hunters, I don't know. I mean, we do have some hunters here. I'm not sure if that would impact their perspective of it, if a year off would make a difference or not. But I think that's kind of the philosophy. You have a system in place, and once you disband that system, sometimes it's tough to get it going again. But.
And I'm personally torn. In the last meeting, I had offered a compromise where in Zone 4, we limit the hunting from, allow it only from October 26th through November 14th, thereby restricting, limiting hunting in Zone 4 to 3 weeks. So just because I'm sensitive to both sides, and I just wanted to present the fact that that was one compromise that I would support. But anyway.
I'm not in favor of eliminating Zone 4 entirely. That's obviously where most of the deer are in town. And we're keeping the hunt going, but I mean, I don't think you're going to see much activity this year by eliminating the Miners Park entirely.
And at the last meeting, the deer hunters that were here indicated that they thought a 3-week hunting period would be sufficient to manage that it wasn't a limiting factor. So just wanted to share that as well. I'm sorry, Commissioner Wiltron.
I'm just saying that the number of deer out there and the 2 groups that wish to use it and 5 zones, it just made sense to me to go that route. And I just, the deer numbers in the only area of the city that's open to hunting that I frequent are pretty much non-existent. So.
Any other discussion or thoughts?
Well, I guess I kind of agree with you too a little bit that a split, like Commissioner Tower mentioned, like you had mentioned too, a split might be a good consideration as well, limiting some of the hunting there. But we have a motion on the table.
Right.
As you plan to amend your motion, I guess we would vote on what's
Well, we should
presented.
vote, well, yeah, we should vote on this motion. So the motion on the table is to keep the deer hunt open and suspend the Miners Park area Zone 4 and keep Zones 1, 2, 3, and 5 open to deer hunting. Roll call vote, please.
Semo.
Yes.
Tower. Corcoran.
No.
Mildren.
Yes.
Birchall.
I'm going to vote no. And I would offer a new motion to allow the deer hunt and in Zones 1, 2, 3, and 5, but limit the deer hunt in Zone 4 to that second period, October 26th through November 14th.
Support. That was the motion, correct?
Yes.
Okay, support.
Motion by Mayor Burchell, seconded by Commissioner Corcoran, as stated, to keep the deer hunt open, suspending, limiting the Zone 4 Miners Park to deer hunting between October 26th and November 14th, but keeping it open for Zones 1, 2, 3, and 5. Further discussion.
Compromise is good, I guess.
Roll call vote, please.
Tower.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Mildren.
Yes.
Semo.
Yes.
Birchall.
Yes. Thank you. That's my feeling, is that compromise and doing things slowly and recognizing the interests and importance of everybody's wishes in the community. So, thank you all. Moving on to item K, discuss and consider a request for a second driveway entrance at 312 East Oak Street.
Maybe to touch on this, this did come to the commission here a few weeks back, and you had some discussion on this. There is a staff report also in with the packet. And again, now the property owner is here to ask the commission to allow for driveway curb cut as staff had reviewed the request. If you've been up there, it's a very tight location. It's a dead-end cul-de-sac with a number of mining houses along there. So there isn't a lot of parking, and a couple of the properties actually had little to no parking available. So they do utilize the street for parking needs. And the concern with putting another driveway curb cut up there was that you're eliminating some additional parking stalls by the width of the driveway and having an access on both sides, that you would actually exacerbate the potential or the problem that's up there. And I think with the recent fire that was up in this location, actually, as she had mentioned, two of them, the need to have available parking in proper spots is very important, and by reducing the amount of parking stalls up there would potentially exacerbate the situation.
And public safety, that's your recommendation, correct? As you presented before.
As before, but there has been a change with the loss of the one home. I'm not sure if there's a position on that home is.
Yeah, we don't know yet what homeowners.
Discussion on this issue?
So, this falls within all of the rules established by the city, and we can tonight make a motion to allow for a second driveway entrance at 312 East Oak Street.
If you felt you wanted to do that, prerogative of the city commission. Again, staff report is counter to that, but it doesn't always mean that's the way things work, so.
And when we already talked about it once before. And
I think it was just basically brought up just because of the fire and the change of the potential status of the roadway, so.
So can I, if you pull up the map,
Maybe to answer Commissioner Towers' question there too, the homeowner did request it again. They didn't feel that they had closure to it. We have our staff report. The answer was no, and there was no action, I guess, which they felt maybe that there was still some, potential to have the commission decide otherwise.
now the house that had the fire is the one on the extreme right, correct? I think it's two down, right? Yeah. And that's it is at the cul-de-sac. And my concern is that there is a very limited on-street parking. And until whatever happens with that house that burned down becomes resolved, down the road there's the potential for that lot, if a rebuild doesn't happen or something, for more off-street parking to become available. And by granting the driveway in the current situation, because that has not yet been resolved, and it'll take some time, it would limit the amount of on-street parking for that neighborhood, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So I just feel at this time that this isn't a good time to address that. I don't personally see a need to go against the city's recommendation to grant that, but that's just my opinion.
Mike, as you just said, nothing has changed. The house is burned, but it's still there. They don't know if they're building or going to fix it or not. Should that house get torn down, then you would have, more parking available.
Can I take this opportunity to point out a few things since the picture is up?
We're only going to be eliminating one car spot, one.
May I?
You can have just a couple of minutes, yes.
Okay, this is the front of our house where normally on Friday, Saturday night, different properly a few times during the week. We have teenagers, company, whatnot, parked. My son comes home, he parks in the driveway, my daughter parks here. This is one spot here. These three vehicles that are normally parked here would then in turn be able to park off on our property without the fear of this woman blocking us in, which she has done before. Our issue is that if we irritate her, she'll block us in. You know, this open space is contingent upon her feelings. The reason why we're asking you to approve this is so that she doesn't have the opportunity to do this. Now, from what we understand, there's no insurance on this house that has moved on, so we may be here arguing about whether or not the city has funds to blight this property next year. This woman who lives in this house next door, she doesn't even pay taxes on it. So the fact that whether or not she'll be there next year is contingent upon, again, blight. We're asking if you would just allow us this access, which according to Denny and the city codes and whatnot, we're within our rights to have this, so much of our, I forget all the words.
Which was granted to us.
At first, and it wasn't until this woman here with her one lot decided to fight this. It was all ago, there wasn't a problem. This is a control issue for this woman, if I could just bring characteristics.
Thank you. I think you've clarified the situation.
It's one spot versus 3 cars. All of this would be open. You can put fire
Thank you.
trucks in.
Thank you. Our responsibility from our is to not worry about to take into account the personal dynamics and the relationships. We have to consider the property and the various properties in that location and their location, regardless of the dynamics and who lives there. And down the road, there's just the reality that that is just a strange little cul-de-sac that with limited parking. I feel like we have to protect whatever parking is available for the residents who also have a right to have visitors and other things. Thank you. Would anybody like to take any action?
I don't understand why we can't give them alley access to the back. I know it's a utility easement, but what would it take to make an alley back there?
There's only one home that doesn't have a driveway. So this goes home again, has a driveway. The home that may be rebuilt, which I'm sure it won't be, that's not worth it. It has an easement, as you said, which is similar to a driveway. There's only one property next to us that doesn't have a driveway. So there's parking up and down the entire street if they want. There's plenty of parking, and if we can't park there, then we'll be forced to park in the street. So it's kind of a wash. They're not allowed us to park there, but we're going to have to park some vehicles in the road. If that's the case, I guess we'll have to. But there's no parking shortage down there. I live down there. There's now less traffic than there's ever been since that home's been burned. It's as simple as that. There are other motives for this to be fought, and that's why they showed up.
In the question on the alley, right now, I think they're using it informally, for access to the back, but it is just a utility easement. There would need to be permanent, essentially easements dedicated for alley access back there from all the property owners on both sides of that alley. So there'd be a number of properties that would have to agree to provide an easement to make it into an alley that could be maintained as an alley.
Would that cost money?
If they all donated an easement, it probably wouldn't if they were all agreeable to that. Every property owner was willing to dedicate an easement. There probably would be some legal costs maybe to record those easements and maybe some surveying required, that type of thing.
That doesn't solve our issue in the winter time. Have you been in the back? There's 5 years, we'd be swimming.
They don't plow the alley, so it's not an option.
They would have to if we made it an alley.
If they would have to plow.
If we were designated
If
an alley.
if you formalized it as a alley, there might need to be some improvements to it. I mean, it's, I think, somewhat passable now, but it might need to be gravelled, some different things, and then it could potentially be maintained in the wintertime also.
Path to get to the house.
It's not really feasible from our end, because they have to come up a hill, and there's a garden and a shed and all that. And this lot here is going to sever 40% of our lot to be driveway.
driveway. And that's what we're hoping to get. The alley isn't really feasible against a parking vehicle on the road. We might have to go through the alley, hopefully they plow with Oak Street at the same time. I don't know.
And where's the snow gonna go? When they plow, where will it go?
Low runoff, of course, the snow, that's for sure.
I mean, you have to plow your driveway, where's that gonna go? You know, you have to plow your driveway, blow it, you know.
Yeah, it shoves right down the hill, as we have done in years. Yes. It's really not a problem. We've always used this area as a driveway up until the neighbor decided to throw it in.
You can't bring stuff in.
Okay, well, that's what it is.
All the homes have a driveway except for one, it's simple, they have the driveway. Bernadette has 2 driveways across from us, which we allow somebody to park if they have.
And for years, we've used it as a driveway up until this issue
But
here.
it's only one loss of one vehicle. They're making a lot of people say.
Right, one last question. The issue has subsided because no one is parking in that area, correct, right now?
She has one vehicle that has
She
not moved.
she parked there on purpose until the police made her move it back.
Asked her nicely to look.
So she can park in front of her own home. She finds it funny to park in front of our property. And the police have made it clear that, oh, it's a public street, she can park anywhere she wants to. She loves that, and now she's gonna give her truck in front of our property. Well, I don't want her to block this so we can have access, as Mr. Ringfist, I told him even 2 seasons before, that my children come in out here on 40 business and snow business. And I keep this area open so they don't have to go over here snowbank. It's safer.
But not only that, we're trying to build and make our property better. There's painting, there's everything that needs to be done. And we are in fear of bringing any trucks or any scaffolding in there because she can park her car there and she does not have to move it and then we're stuck. And there's no way out the back.
There's 2 less vehicles now at Cheryl's house in Town Claire. This sits empty. These 3 spots are literally empty. And she parks her car in front of our place and her son parks here and they have open parking for their friends, which is fine. But we would like granted permission, like originally was by Jenny, before Ms. Krakowski had spoken with Mr. Erickson and voiced that they park here and they need that. They don't. And especially now that she had a fire, this is even more open. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I don't have a terrible problem with it, it's just, I don't know. It just seems like it's a neighbor pissing match, you know, I don't like that. You know, I really don't like to get involved in that stuff, if we can help it.
Well, that's why we're sticking to applying for a driveway right, which is our right, which is, whether we feel the neighbors are having a little match back and forth, regardless, we are asking for a right to be granted for our driveway. And I don't think that's out. I don't know. It's kind of everybody that they approved it, orders aren't allowed, and then after a conversation with some small, long-time friends, it's all of a sudden denied. And that's what's irritating to me.
But the main issue is be able to protect our equipment coming in and out, our truck that needs a dump dirt, our ability to put scaffolding to move in and out of our property freely without having to argue with this woman about whether or not she's going to move the truck back. You know, our hands are tied and there isn't anything we can do.
And the police will be up there every time we need to get access. If she's blocking it, we need to get stuff in there.
Which is wasting their time.
Come up and
An approval of this, if I could, just makes this the end of it. You know,
it's only one car, one pickup truck that we're losing on Oak Street. That's several hundred feet to park up and down Oak Street.
Any visitors can park in front of our house because all that spot will be open. They'll be coming and going free. Our neighbors, our friends, they have to park down the road and across the street to come over to our house. And they have, this spot.
Well, we have staff recommending not to grant it, and I took a look there today, and there's a big rock you placed on the right side of your garage. Just move that rock, level that area out and pave it, and there's your parking area.
That's about 5 feet. my property are about 5.5 feet, about as far as I can reach.
What's 500 feet?
The property where you're saying put a parking lot, take that boulder out, is about 6 feet maybe. From the existing driveway edge to my property, maybe 5. They're only 40-foot lots.
And that requires begging, which we spoke with them, and I spoke with Scott Harrison last week. Trying to get a boulder out of the yard it's a battle. Trying to get somebody to fire up there.
It's not really a contractor pick up one rock, basically. But that's not the real issue. The issue is we have a need for a driveway. If you don't think it's worthy of it, I guess that's your decision, but
Moving a boulder is not an option. It's getting somebody out there, it's not going to happen.
You're telling me you can't move the rock? That's the
you
problem.
can, but it's difficult to
Right.
get a contractor to come up for one
Right.
rock. We're trying to have one removed from the property.
Russell will not come up with their equipment.
Weston.
The other guy will not come up with his equipment to move the rocks. We've already spoken to him.
And what the issue is this going to be a problem with parking? No, we're eliminating one spot. It's as simple as that. And like I said,
It turns into a major project working on the garage side. On the opposite side, where it's an empty lot, all you gotta do is call it a driveway. Let's call it a day.
I think there's a lot of like argument going on. I kind of agree with what Mayor Burchell had said. There's a lot of unknowns as far as if the house that burnt is going to be tore down, is it going to be rebuilt? But I do look at like the house immediately next to you. I believe they don't have any driveway parking at all. So if you take away the on-street parking, that limits them to probably 2 spots right in front of their home. I would feel comfortable waiting till there's a decision made on the burnt property, because you could argue both ways, and I believe that if you're working on your house, that I think there's good argument there for coming in and out, and I would believe that if you're blocked in, that you would have public safety support, or even just communicating with your neighbor, I'm working on my house today, would you mind not parking here today? But at this given point in time, I'm just thinking because of the house that did burn, there's no definite future of what's going to happen to it. I would, at this point, I feel comfortable not taking any action on it, allowing a driveway, and I think we could argue both points for another hour if you wanted to, but I think that we should move on.
Okay. Unless any other commissioners is going to take any action, and we're going to move on. Okay. Moving on to new business. Thank you, though. We are sensitive and we are listening, even though we're not granting that. Okay. Sure. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Item L, discuss and consider adjustment to the city center lease agreement with the Downtown Art Place.
Thank you. Just a little bit of background to lay this out. I think you had a nice presentation there, kind of laid out the request. Again, the building is the city center, is what we call the building, and is owned by the city. And the Downtown Art Place Group is the one that manages it, and basically manages the building. There is a lease agreement with the group. They've done a great job. They've been great stewards of that building. They've added a number of jobs, a number of people working out of that building, which is great to see. They've been very, very energized. They've energized the whole downtown. With that said, again, the building is the city's. They've invested many, I'll say, I don't know the exact number, I'm going to say $100,000, a couple $100,000 into that building already with new electric systems. 150 at least. A lot of sweat equity, a new electric system, you name it. That building has just substantially increased in value, and it's great to see that. So this is really a partnership, a continued partnership with that group. Again, they're looking for $31,000 for the city to help invest back in that building. They are going to be paying that back over a 3-year agreement. That's part of their lease agreement if you do approve it. And I think it's been a great relationship between the city and the DAP group, and we'd like to continue to maintain that, and for them to be effective, they need to be able to rent their spaces.
I would like to make the motion to accept the lease agreement as presented to us with the Downtown Art Place.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Meldrum, seconded by Commissioner Semo to accept the city center lease agreement as presented. Further discussion?
I have one question. Was more than one bid solicited for the roof?
We looked at, three.
You had 2 bids? And this was the lowest?
Contractors that we work with. We didn't decide it was a bidding process because it was a grant and we wouldn't need to do that until we got the grant technically approved. So we worked with a few contractors and we're doing the one that came up with the ultimately the best. I don't know that I can say it's the best price, it's the best solution.
I guess my only concern is that's a lot of money to just, normally we would solicit bids for something like this.
And maybe the difference here, again, is probably procedural, if anything. The DAP is managing, and the stewards of the building, they contract for services. And that's what they're doing, and they don't have to go through a bidding process. They can decide if they want to or not. Again, the funds are going to the DAP to allow them to continue that. So we're not actually doing a contracting process. We're not going through the public process for that. So it's kind of a fine point, if you will. And again, that's probably a differentiation if you have to think about that. So they have their, option, and I think they've, like I say, worked with a couple contractors, but it's not the city. We're not hiring a contractor. We're actually going to cut a check to the DAP. They're going to go through their process to retain a contractor to do the work. So if that helps or not, I don't know.
And I have one comment and one question. So my comment would be that I attend quarterly, monthly meetings with the governor's Prosperity Council, and the last meeting was talking about strategies for economic development across the UP, and I had brought to everyone's attention what the DAP has done, from the way we work to the Water for Flint, to the Friends of the Parkies exhibit, to the actual studios being open for people to go and shop, and putting Ironwood on the map as a arts center in our area. So what you're doing is a huge service to the city of Ironwood, because it's economic development and it's bringing people here. And my only question would be the 3 or 4 things I listed. I know there were a lot more, but over the years, I mean, you have numbers, and I would love to hear someday a presentation on the kind of numbers we're talking about attracting to the city of Ironwood. I know you do it. I would love to hear the numbers someday.
Well, we can.
I'm sorry, Jim, I missed what numbers are you?
Okay, the numbers would be, I know the activities you've been engaged in, and I view this as economic development for the city of Ironwood. But I never have heard the numbers when you have your visitors on a daily basis that come into the DAP, and then you have the bigger events. And if you keep track, it would be a great presentation to hear.
As far as number of visitors, that's something we would have to get back to.
Sure.
We do have in our gallery, we do have a, what do you call it, ticketing system. Everybody that comes in, who's ever in charge that day, ticks off on people come in the door. I don't know other than they help attended to, for example, the Porkies event the other night was really fun. There are people from all over because it's a Porky event and in our town. But to answer your question specifically, I think we'd have to put our heads together and decide what numbers would be useful and would be interesting.
And perhaps Commissioner Mildren was alluding to that the downtown art place could come back and give a short summary presentation down the road in the next few months, perhaps.
I could talk to the improvements we've made.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes. But as far as economic development, I think your group has worked tirelessly to make this city of Ironwood a destination. So your willingness to take on the debt of these improvements to further Ironwood is a high goal, and I'm really happy about it. I think the numbers would be wonderful, though, just to say, because we need those activities that bring people here. So, thank you.
How could we possibly argue with someone who wants to spend money to fix our roof of our building?
True.
With all the other improvements they've already done.
And it is a loan, rather than...
Yes.
And in reference
I'm just cheap, so I just want to bring it up.
It's a good point. I think the issue is that it's because we're not asking the taxpayers to pay for it. It's nice to work with a local contractor. You solicit bids, sometimes you may end up with bids that come from outside the area. And having a warranty and a local contractor for repairs and maintenance is very important to us because we're a volunteer group and there isn't anybody except us to follow up on that type of thing.
I don't want to
We want to stop the
I think you do have limited, it's a Duralast type of roof, and I think there's
20-year warranty Duralast roof.
limited
It's
options.
On the roof, it's a really nice roof. It's a double thickness membrane relative to what they normally put on for Duralast. And my understanding is that will last much longer than 20 years. They give it a 20-year warranty, but it's 15-year, they said, or the 10-year warranty. Is it a 15-year warranty on the first one?
No, it's 15 to 20.
Yeah, we went from 15 to 20 by adding $2,000 more to get the thicker membrane. And like the company informally admits that will last for a lot longer than that.
I think that one thing that may not be, they've done a surprise when they did this to the core. When they do the bill, you see how bad it is, and they have to take it all off, which we hadn't thought.
There's a built-up tar roof out there, and because the old roof had been penetrated, that tar and what's inside the tar, which is kind of like a particle board, has absorbed a lot of moisture, so the whole thing has to be taken off. It has a concrete base underneath. So they're going to then insulate that with R30 polystyrene styrene, and then they're going to put it on top. It'll be a nice, it's a first-class repair. It's not a patch job. It's not a temporary roof. It's about as good of a roof as you can get without getting into 50-year commercial roofs, which are no one around this area can put those on. They're big problems.
Any other questions, Commissioner Tower? Okay. So there's a motion on the floor. Could we please have a roll call vote?
Corcoran?
Yes.
Mildren?
Yes.
Semo?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Burchell?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item N, discuss and consider approving advertisement soliciting bids for custodial services for the Ironwood Memorial Building, the Carnegie Library, and the Public Safety Building.
This is before you tonight. We just feel that we should go out for bids every once in a while and see what we can get, price-wise, and it's time for that contract to expire here, so I put them on notice, and I think we just should bid it out. And we're including the public safety and the library also. They do not have to bid on all three. They can do them separately if they choose, and then we'll see what kind of bids we get in.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Corcoran to approve the advertisement soliciting bids as described in item M. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item N, discuss and consider approving law enforcement mutual aid agreement between the City of Ironwood and the Iron County, Wisconsin Sheriff's Department.
I believe last meeting or the meeting before I brought forward a mutual aid agreement that we had entered into with Pearlie. These are agreements that we have entered into for many years and very beneficial for both communities. In the past, the Iron County Sheriff's Department has deputized officers, but they feel the state of Wisconsin requested that we enter into mutual mutual aid agreements. For legal reasons, I'm not sure, but these are common between jurisdictions, and we're kind of unique on the Michigan-Wisconsin border, that's why we're preferring mutual aid agreements. Like I said, these benefit both communities.
Make a motion to approve the agreement.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, seconded by Commissioner Semo to approve the mutual aid agreement as described in item N. Further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mildren.
Yes.
Semo.
Yes.
Tower.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Birchall.
Yes. Item O, discuss and consider declaring a public safety plow as surplus property and authorizing advertisement for bids to sell.
A few years ago, we purchased a new utility truck for our department and required it to be purchased a lot of And last year, Ben Rich had donated a truck to us with a nice depot on it. This was just a standard straight blade plow that would be used for cleaning up down at our department. DPW takes care of most of our plowing. So we were not in need of both plows. This is too light of a plow for DPW to have any use of it, so we're going to surplus it. Actually, I made it there, the price was $1,700 minimum bid. The plow was purchased for $3,800, well over a year ago.
So you want a $1,700 minimum bid?
$1,700 minimum bid.
Okay.
That was my guess.
Okay. I'll make a motion to declare the plow as surplus with a minimum bid of $1,700.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, seconded by Commissioner Mildren to declare the public safety plow as surplus property with a minimum bid of $1,700. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to item P, discuss and consider approving the memorandum of understanding between the City of Ironwood, the Michigan Homeowner Assistance Nonprofit Housing Corporation, and the Gogebic Land Bank Authority for the Hardest Hit Blight Remediation Program.
Again, this is the hardest hit blight grant we had talked about. The funds have to flow through the Gogebic County Land Bank. So we have this memorandum of understanding that that's how it will occur. We'll work together on this, and it has worked very well. This is the same document, the same process we used with the first grant that we had received.
I'll make a motion, we approve the memorandum as described in item P.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Corcoran to approve the memorandum as described in item P. Further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Semo.
Yes.
Tower.
Yes.
Mildren.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Birchall.
Yes. Item Q, discuss and consider awarding the bid for the sanitary sewer line extension on Gogebic Street and Business Route 2.
And I have to apologize, you probably don't have a bid in front of you. Just talking to Karen if we had had that scanned in or not. We did receive these late Friday, and it's for some work on the BR at Gogebic Street. If you don't mind grabbing those, Karen. We have a sanitary sewer, two services that come in. They're actually tied into the storm sewer system. So we have to disconnect those, get those connected over to the sanitary system at that location. We did receive bids. We received 3 bids, actually, for this work. We still want to get the work done yet this year. Next year, the Michigan Department of Transportation is coming in, and they're going to do a mill and resurfacing of the whole BR through town. So we want to get this work done before they come in. And again, we have the BR out there is actually asphalt over concrete, so it's a pretty big deal to get this work done and make sure that the street is put back the way it needs to be prior to next year. So with that, we did get 3 bids. Karen is going to get the bid sheet. We apologize for that, and we'll get that scanned in. But we had 3 bidders. We actually are recommending rejection of the low bidder. There's about a $2,000 difference between our low bidder and our second low bidder. The low bidder, which was Varner Excavating, did not submit a 5% bid bond. That's an absolute requirement of the project. For some reason, they just missed that, did not include it, and that's automatic rejection of their bid. So we are recommending going to the next highest bidder, which is Ross Peterson Construction, and there's a couple $1,000. We'll get the actual dollar amount for you. Difference between their bids, and again, with the idea to get it done yet this year, and move that along. We do have dollars in our sanitary fund to pay for this work. So
I'll make the motion that we award the bid to Ross Peterson for the sanitary sewer line extension.
Support.
We'll get the exact dollar amount.
Well,
I wanna
actually,
get-
we do have it here.
Oh, you have it in front
We
of
got
you?
an email from Connie.
Oh, okay, you have it.
$31,495.
Thank you,
was
Rick.
Ross Peterson's bid. $31,495.
Thank you.
And Farner's was $28,294.
Okay.
And there was one other bid that was way higher.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Corcoran, to award the bid to Ross Peterson for the sanitary sewer line extension, as described in item Q, for $31,495. Further discussion? I had a question. Would this work done, was this work done when that neighborhood the sewer was redone, like several years ago?
I'm not sure. I'm going to guess back in the 80s when they did the sewer separation.
Okay.
They missed this little piece. There were two service lines. That would be my best guess. So nothing's really been done out here. I think they probably missed it with the sewer separation back in the 80s.
Okay.
To my understanding, they separated the sewer and Gibbet Street, but they did not go into BR2. And these homes are across BR2. So the product stopped just short of it.
I'm just curious, how was it detected?
Heavy rainfall, one of the basements would have problems every once in a while.
Okay.
I have one question. When is this work going to be done?
It'll be done this year. We'll talk to the contractor to get their schedule, but yet this season.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Tower.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Mildren.
Yes.
Semo.
Yes.
Churchill.
Yes. Moving on to item R, mayor's appointments. I would like to nominate Luke Penrose to fill an unexpired term for the Civic Center Board.
I'll make a motion, we approve the mayor's appointment to the Civic Center Board as noted.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Mildren, seconded by the other way. Motion by Commissioner Corcoran, seconded by Commissioner Mildren, to approve the mayor's appointment to the Civic Center Board. Further discussion?
He's from Iron Belt, Wisconsin. Is that any kind of a problem? No question, no clue.
Nope.
All right.
And we did check the Civic Center bylaws, and it's not an issue. And I did speak to the gentleman for 45 minutes and got a good sense of his commitment to the Civic Center and that all that it offers. So I feel comfortable nominating him. Even though he's not a City of Ironwood resident, he's involved in, he's an owner in a business in the City of Ironwood and grew up in the City of Ironwood. His parents are, not that that's terribly relevant, but he was very sensitive to the fact that the Civic Center is supported by the millage, by the taxpayers of the City of Ironwood. And despite the fact that he's not a resident of the city, I feel like he could be a valuable asset to the Civic Center. So, motion on the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Manager's report, please.
Yes, thank you. Just a few items to cover. A few ribbon cuttings coming up. We do have, there's a group working together, the Friends of the Iron Belt Trail. They're going to have a trail cleanup and also an invasive species eradication party. So again, invite everybody out to the party, and more the merrier. That's going to be Saturday, October 1st from 9 a.m. to noon down at Depot Park. And we have a great group that's working on behalf of all of our communities on maintaining the regional trail through our towns. Interview-wise, we are interviewing, or have interviewed for our Community Development Director position, and we had three very qualified candidates, so we are doing some reference checks, and hopefully we'll extend an offer to an individual here in the not-too-distant future. So, again, I want to thank the interview team for going through that, and it's nice to see that we had some real good qualified individuals that have applied. We are going to do another A ribbon cutting for Depot Park and Perry Park, and you can see I missed the date down there, so I will get you that. That'll be in October. I'll get the date out to you. When that is, that's a requirement of the grant, and just another way to also celebrate some of these nice projects that have been completed this summer. So we'll get you the date on that. There will be a ribbon cutting for the Iron Bell Trail. The second phase from Ironwood to Bessemer is nearing completion. If you have had a chance to take a look at it, it's essentially paved. They're doing the bridge work right now, and over the next couple of weeks, that trail should be pretty well completed. So again, a nice addition to the area, and they're having a ribbon cutting on Monday, October 24th at noon over on the Bessemer side. We had a discussion on that. We want to celebrate the successes as this trail continues to move further to the east. So they'll get we'll have more information on that and invite the public out for that. Not right in Ironwood, but part of our communities. If you've seen, there's been some significant improvements out on the US 2 corridor. Walmart is one of them, and they're going to have a ribbon cutting. Again, they have a big investment they've made into that store again, if you've noticed. It's nice to see that reinvestment into the area, and they're going to do a ribbon cutting Friday, September 30th at 8 a.m. at their store. So to get out and thank them for their reinvestment back in the community. Along that same line, we have Aspirus Grandview, who has done a phenomenal addition out there with their new clinic. And they have a save the date. I think we'll see more information on this, but Monday, November 14th from 11 to 1 p.m. It looks like they're going to have a grand opening ribbon cutting type event out there. So I expect to see more details on that as that gets closer. Up on Mount Zion, as we had talked about at the last meeting, there are a number of donations to help with some improvements up there, specifically a viewing deck and some other improvements. But that is moving forward. We're working with a number of individuals on that are helping push that project ahead. And we have some donated engineering design work from Paul Butchko, so he's completed that, and we're getting the permits. We're going to be working on getting some footings put in there in preparation for the deck work. So again, depending on the time of year and the season, we'll see how this transpires. There's a number of steps to take place yet. The footings have been a little bit of a challenge just because there's a big rock granite knob up there. So we've been working with some contractors to get some pricing to actually put the footings in up there. And last on the list, you'll be hearing more about this. This will be a project that our planning department is moving forward. It's through the state MEDC. Again, we get a lot of grant funding through them, a lot of community development block grant funding. And they're implementing what's called a redevelopment ready community, an RRC. And again, we're taking steps to achieve that goal, which basically says we have our ducks in a row and, we're ready to move forward as people, businesses, individuals come to our community. So we'll be working on that. That's going to be probably a multi-year process to get through it. We had a number of things like our comp plan is one requirement. We've got that done. Our zoning ordinance is another. We're going to be working on that as we get a new community development director in place. So again, another big lift, but staff is ready for it, and we'll move that forward with commission direction over the next year or so. And again, important for us to be in queue, so as we do have grant opportunities, we're eligible to apply for them. So that would be the extent of my report.
I believe there's training for that, the RRC, sometime in October?
There's some training coming up. They're ahead of the curve. I'll give them credit. Tim has already been to the training, and he's on queue with it, and taking the next step. So
sounds good.
Yep.
Great. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Moving on to other matters. Any other matters?
I just have a couple of notations. I just want to say, Paul, I appreciate your support for the local business in your comment today. We can't just always bid or give the work to the locals. Bids inspire competitive pricing, competitive design. And there was a group of us, it wasn't just Mayor Burchell, but there was a group of us that did decide on the design. And we did have a local company in the running, but the design that we went with, I believe, was just different enough, and it kind of embraced a little bit better our logo, the color scheme, the visibility. It kind of represents a mine head frame, and kind of our history as you would, and it was kind of unique. But we did consider it, but we just felt that the other company was just different enough, unique enough that we went with it. And it was a group decision, and like I said, I do appreciate your support for the local business. But I just wanted to make a note that we did consider the local, and we did have a lot of other components that we did look at for that. One other thing that I would like to mention too is that I did go, and our city manager did go to a convention a couple weeks ago. I handed out to each of the commissioners some of the things from the Michigan Municipal League, just kind of the core principles for economic development. So it's always good to have the handouts and see what people are doing, or what's the kind of formula for success. Some of the other things that we talked about were developing Main Street, community development, Michigan municipal information in general. Some of the sessions that I attended were just facilitating civic engagement, which was kind of cool. Some of the things they talked about are things that we did with the comp plan, like the listening activities, the Monopoly game that we had down in the auditorium, the surveys, the workshops. So it's kind of nice to go to these presentations and hear things that are successful and say, hey, yeah, we've experienced that, we've done that. Another part that I went to was focus on small businesses as pollinators, municipal finance, again, just trying to make the decision makers aware of the disinvestment from the state level down to the local level, and land banks, revitalization, and retaining volunteers. So there's a lot of good information, and I very much appreciate the opportunity to attend, and it's absolutely a good networking opportunity as well. So thank you for allowing me to attend. So that's all I have.
Thank you. And for myself, I referenced earlier in the meeting that I attend the Governor's Prosperity Task Force. I don't think I've missed a meeting in 2.5 years. I'm a valued member, and 4 or 5 times in my meetings there, the Wuppertal staff, the other cities in the western UP, the DHHS, Michigan Works, they all talk about the city of Ironwood and its ability to get things done. Included in Scott's report tonight is a $240,000 blight demolition. This is the how many time that we've received?
Second time for Ironwood.
Second time.
Yes.
Second time, $240,000 at a crack. Other cities in western upper Michigan are calling the city of Ironwood to find out how we do it. So I will say this for everyone that's here, the city staff we have, the employees we have, are the best. Absolutely the best. And I hear this time after time because they're bringing the money here, they're getting projects done here, and they're doing these projects correctly. So you're doing a great job, all of you. And just to add one other thing, the Phase 2 section of the Ironville Trail, just wishing to say that as that is completed, that is going to be such a huge economic development. And I want to say that as a lot of people are going to take credit for this because it took everyone, the motel owners did put in the match money for this, and this trail is spectacular. Being on it the other day, the first, the large iron bridge that's the first bridge you cross when you leave Walmart going to Bessemer. The structure on there, you look halfway up on the right-hand side facing Ironwood, and there's a plaque there, and it says, "Bridge built by the Milwaukee Bridge Building Company, 1896. And you look at that structure, and you look at how those hot rivets were pounded in there, and you look at the trail in its entirety, it is amazing, and we are going to have so many people going between Hurley, Ironwood, and Bessemer, it's going to spin your head around. It's a big deal. And the grade, when you get anywhere close to Powder Mill Creek, a mile this side, a mile that side, above grade, some places that trail is 50, 70 feet high, and how they hauled in that much fill, because at the top it's 15 or 20 feet wide, and then it goes down like a pyramid. There are photographers, there are historians, there are bike riders, there are people from all over this country that are going to be there. And it already has started because I've had numerous requests on more information from it and when will be the open house. It's a big deal. And thank you all, and thank you, City of Ironwood, for being a big part of it. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Any other comments? I would just like to note a communication we received from the pickleball gang. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America, and they wrote a note wishing to thank us and the City Commission and the city and all of those who so graciously gave us permanently lined courts at the tennis courts, which is the Patterson Courts on Ridge Street, and for the privilege of playing in the Memorial Building as well. And they signed all that, so just wanted to share that. That's all. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Tower, seconded by Commissioner Tower, excuse me, and seconded by Commissioner Semo to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Sure.